Little baby bunting, little baby bunting, Daddy's gone hunting, gone to fetch her. Agnes, it's me, Billy.
Welcome back for day 13 of the 31 Days of Christmas Horror. And I decided to go ahead, and I'm getting close to the midway point here, and break out one of my favorites, and one of everyone else's favorites too, and that is the classic Christmas Evil, or You Better Watch Out. I'm not sure which title I like. I think this film was produced in 1980. And I actually saw it, that's how old I am, in the theater. It's a art grindhouse film, low budget, made by a guy that really didn't do much after this. Larry Jackson. Forgot his name now. I've watched all the commentaries and interviews, and I can't remember the guy's name, the director's name. It was pretty sad. Lewis Jackson. The star of this film is Brandon Maggart, and he did an incredible character study, great acting job in this. And side tidbit, his daughter is Fiona Apple, who is a singer, New York singer. She's a bit odd. You go on YouTube and watch some of her stuff. She's a little bit out there as well. But so this film is one of the first, if not the first, film that features a Santa killer in a feature-length film. I mean, if you go back to the 70s, there's the anthology segment with the Santa killer, but I think this is the first full-length feature film that had a Santa killer. It's not a slasher film, though. It's a psychological character study of a guy that's slipping into madness over time. And it's a slow burn. It's a film that's it's attempting to, it has a lot of subtle messages, societal messages, corporate greed, idealism versus real world, a lot of clashes of societal norms that are messages in this film if you watch it carefully enough. Basically, this guy Brandon Maggart plays Harry, and Harry is traumatized as a child by seeing his mother and father, who's they weren't really messing around. He was, they were just in an awkward position, and he saw them, and it traumatized him so much he starts cutting himself. So he's already off to a kind of a mental illness problem right out of the get-go by cutting himself. Stressed, things cut. Yeah, the whole concept of Christmas for him is idealistic, and it's and when you're a child, and even as a young adult, we have some ideals that are extremely naive until we get out into the real world. I liken this to some college kids that have these ideals about how the world works and should work, and then they get out in the real world and they put a little age on them, and they kind of temper those ideals. But Harry, unfortunately, is unable to temper his ideals, and his ideal is Christmas is a time for giving. It's a time for people to put their own needs aside and focus on others. And he's kind of trapped in this ideal and pursuing this ideal, and he won't accept the fact that the rest of the world has moved on from that, and they're focused on themselves and their issues, and ultimately these topics kind of clash in his head, and over time he just breaks down mentally to the point where he commits a murder. And it's, you're 40 minutes into the movie before he commits his first murder, but it's a brutal, shocking scene. So the film was going for quality, not quantity, in terms of kills. But when he unleashes his first kill, it's a brutal, shocking moment. I mean, he stabs a guy in the eyeball and then just hatchets the guy's head. It's the lead up to the first kill, though, is a progression of mental illness and instability that's caused by, he goes around, he works at a toys factory, so he's trying to live out this idealistic image of Christmas, but he just keeps running headlong into reality. Like, the people just don't care. For example, the people that work the toy line, which I think he deems that as kind of sacred, are trying all kinds of tricks to get off of work and avoid having to work the line. And one of them tricks the guy Harry into actually filling in for him, and then he goes to a bar drinking, and Harry finds him at the bar drinking, and he just can't believe that, given the opportunity of providing joy to kids during Christmas by working the line, so to speak, that he would choose going to a bar getting drunk versus working the line. Well, I mean, I can't believe that. He also keeps a notebook, and he spies on kids that are naughty versus doing naughty things versus good things, and he keeps a mental and a physical book of all the kids in the neighborhood that are doing good things versus bad things. Then he's got a brother who's the real world brother that's trying to deal with an idealistic Harry, and he's just frustrated that Harry's just can't get his act together, and he lives in this fantasy world, So it's a very slow burn character study. It's not a slasher film, and don't go into it thinking that, but it's a wonderful, gritty, art house film along the lines of, say, Taxi Driver, I guess, would be the best analogy I could give you, of a guy that just slowly breaks down, and you get to watch this moment for moment. Now, as far as the ending, a lot's been made of the ending and how either people don't get it, or it's stupid, or or some people just say it's wonderful. I'm in the wonderful camp, but I also am in the practical camp of it's not that difficult. Bottom line is, and I guess this is a spoiler moment, so if you don't want to hear this, fast forward to about 20, 30 seconds. But essentially in the ending, after he confronts his brother, he drives off, chased by the townspeople in a scene a black comedic scene that likens back to the Universal horror movies. They're carrying these torches, chasing Harry. There's a lot of black comedy moments in this as well. It's a complex film, but anyway, he's driving off to get away from his brother, and he runs over a cliff and crashes his car. You could hear the crash. It kind of cuts to the brother who's knocked down a hillside, but you hear a crash. And the next scene is the truck didn't crash. It's actually flying off into the night. Well, I think that's just simple. He crashed the car and died, and his last moments of life are kind of dreamlike, as he's dreaming, well, I'm flying off into the night sky. I mean, like Santa would do. I mean, that's you're just carrying on his psychotic visions. It's symbolism. It's not spoon-fed to her. It's just a symbol of his death and his fantasy world progressing on after death. In my opinion, it's nothing difficult about it. John Waters, who's on the commentary track with the director, claims or believes that this is the best Christmas horror film of all time. I rank Black Christmas above this, but this would be number 2. And this is a 9 out of 10 on my scale. Wonderful, wonderful character study film, horror film. Now, this is the Vinegar Syndrome release, which has 3 audio commentaries, all with the director, one with just the director, one with director and John Waters, and one with, I think, a cast or crew member. There's also it's a DVD Blu-ray combo, but some of the features, well, all the features were ported over from the old Synapse DVD. But the other features besides the commentaries are on the DVD, which is a number of interviews with the director, a 25 minutes look at some of the casting, vintage casting, and there were a number of people that tried out for roles that are now famous that didn't get in here. Then there's an interesting survey cards section where people, when they went to see the film, left their opinions in little survey cards. The best one, there's a number of them. They're just a hoot. It's like a 2 or 3 minute thing, but you gotta watch that. There's my favorite one. A lot of them are hilarious, but my favorite one was the simple one word "why" and question mark. Some guy, I don't know, I can't remember whether it was a man or a woman, but some guy just wrote "why." I mean, that says it all in one word. Well, I can tell you why. You missed the symbolism of this, and you missed the fact that it was a character study. You missed the fact that there was a lot of social commentary that just escaped you, went right over your head. But that's why. It's a black, dark comedy combined with a character study of a guy that's having a mental breakdown, and it's a great, great film in that respect. So if you didn't pick that up, the guy that asked why, then you missed the boat, man. Anyway, what a great movie. It's a must own and must see. So that's it for day 13. And I will be back for day 14. I appreciate it. Thanks.